Hello and welcome to the special meeting of stockholders of GrafTech International Limited. Please note that today's meeting is being recorded. During the meeting, we'll have a question and answer session. You can submit questions or comments at any time by clicking on the Q&A tab. It is now my pleasure to turn today's meeting over to Mr. Henry Kaiser, Chair of the Board of Directors of GrafTech International Limited. Mr. Kaiser, the floor is yours.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Will the meeting please come to order? My name is Henry Kaiser, and I am the Chair of the Board of Directors of GrafTech International Limited. I will act as Chair of this meeting. I would like to welcome you to this special meeting of stockholders. The Board of Directors has determined that the special meeting will be held in a virtual format via the Internet. I call your attention to the rules of conduct set forth for this meeting. These were made available to each stockholder in the Documents section on the right side of the screen. If you need a copy of the proxy statement, you can also find a link to that document in the Documents section. Stockholders may submit questions online at any time during this meeting in the space provided on the virtual meeting screen by clicking on the Q&A dialog icon in the upper right corner of the meeting center screen. During the special meeting, questions from stockholders should pertain to the proposal being considered. Stockholders wishing to ask other questions will be given an opportunity to do so following the meeting. Questions on a similar topic may be addressed with a single answer. After some brief introductions and a few procedural matters, we will take up the items to be acted upon. A majority of the members of our Board of Directors are in attendance at the meeting. I would now like to invite Tim Flanagan, our Chief Executive Officer, to introduce his senior management team.
Good morning. It's with great pleasure that I would like to introduce our senior management team, all of which who are in attendance today. Rory O'Donnell, Chief Financial Officer and Senior Vice President. Jeremy Halford, Executive Vice President, Chief Operating Officer. Inigo Perez-Ortiz, Senior Vice President, Commercial and CTS. Michael Dillon, Vice President, Investor Relations and Treasurer. And Andrew Renacci, Chief Legal Officer and Company Secretary.
Thank you, Tim. We now turn to the formal proceedings of today's meeting, which are governed by Delaware law and our amended and restated bylaws. The agenda of this meeting is included in the notice of special meeting sent to the stockholders with the proxy statement. Corporate Secretary has advised me that he is in possession of the affidavit of mailing, which states that the notice of meeting and accompanying proxy materials, including the proxy statement, were mailed commencing on July 11, 2025 to all stockholders of record on June 30th, 2025. The affidavit will be filed with the meeting minutes. The corporation has appointed Computershare Trust Company to act as Inspector of Election, represented here today by Tammy Marshall. I have received the preliminary certificate of the inspector to the effect that there are one or more stockholders present in person or represented by proxy or by voting instructions entitled to cast in the aggregate at least a majority of the votes attaching to the 258,151,443 outstanding shares of common stock entitled to vote at this meeting. Consequently, there is a quorum present in accordance with the amended and restated bylaws of the corporation, and the meeting is properly constituted for the transaction of the business for which it has been called. We will now turn to the sole item on the agenda, which is Proposal 1, the approval of an amendment to the company's amended and restated certificate of incorporation to, at the discretion of the Board of Directors, effect a reverse stock split of the company's issued common stock at a ratio of not less than 1:7 and not greater than 1:15, with the final ratio within such range to be determined at the discretion of the Board of Directors and a reduction in the number of authorized shares of common stock and preferred stock by a corresponding proportion. The Inspector of Election has already received a ballot with respect to the proxies solicited by the Board of Directors. If any stockholder in attendance wishes to vote their shares, you may cast your vote online via the virtual meeting system. We will now vote on this proposal. If you have not voted or wish to change your vote, you may do so now by clicking on the link provided online. Any stockholder who has already voted and does not want to change their vote need not take any further action. The polls will remain open for about another minute, and then the Computershare representative will close the online voting system. The online voting will now be closed. The inspector has advised me that based on the preliminary review of the votes cast, at least 66 2/3% of the voting power of the issued and outstanding shares of common stock entitled to vote voted in favor of Proposal 1. The Corporate Secretary will record the exact vote count for the proposal in the minutes. The final results will be disclosed in a Form 8-K to be filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission on or before August 20th, 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, I now declare the formal portion of the special meeting of stockholders of GrafTech International Limited adjourned. We will proceed now to the question period. I would invite any stockholder or a stockholder proxy to ask a question. If you wish to ask a question, please submit your question in the space provided on the virtual meeting screen by clicking on the Q&A dialog icon in the upper right corner of the meeting center screen. Your question must include your name, whether you are a stockholder or a proxy, and comply with the rules of conduct set forth for this meeting. If you are acting as a proxy, please also name the stockholder you represent. I would ask you to be brief in your questions in order to allow all those who wish to do so to participate. We will allow a maximum of 3 minutes for addressing each question or comment. Questions should be addressed to me, the CEO, or the CFO. As there are no questions at this point, I would want to thank all of our stockholders for their continuing support.
This concludes the presentation. You may now disconnect.